Welcome to this episode of Leadership Unfiltered. Today we're going to be talking about leading with ambiguity, and I would like to thank Blue Vix Gaming for leaving this comment and asking for this topic. And leading with ambiguity is really important. It covers the human condition, which is we require specificity, but we very rarely get it, and that does not change with leadership. And so I am Phillip Smith, coder by blood, architect by trade, and leader by choice, with over 25 years of experience leading large and small teams across corporate America, and I'm joined with my co-host Dayan Douse.
I'm Dr. Dayan Douse. I'm a coach and facilitator of transformational behavior.
And we welcome you. So leading with ambiguity. This, for me, was a hard lesson. Because my first step into leadership, I became a supervisor. That role, I was like, oh my goodness. Because I remember making the choice, because I coder by blood, architect by trade, leader by choice. And I remember making that choice to transition from using the widgets that I could create to create value, to leading others to create value. And I remember very distinctly making that choice. And getting into that opportunity and going, okay, I am going to tell these people what to do.
Yeah.
And that is not leadership.
No.
That is not leadership. And I was quickly educated that it's very fuzzy and very gray around leading. Truly leading, which is different than managing or administering.
Yes.
Because when you administer something, that's black and white, right? There's I's to be dotted and there's T's to be crossed. When you're managing something, that's around measurement and making sure that the line is where it needs to be. Leading is a people engagement.
Yeah.
Again, different from administration, different from managing. People try to use those words as synonyms, and they are not.
Yes.
Leading, again, whether it's formal and you have the title or not, leading is a people engagement. And people are very complex beings. And so that requires you to operate both from an ambiguity perspective, dealing with the human condition, but also what it is that you are trying to accomplish is shaping as you're going after it. Is we kind of know what we want. We know what the win looks like, but the distance and how you cover the distance between where you are and getting to the win isn't as clear as walking down the street.
Right.
It's very gray and very muddy, and the reason why leaders get paid the money that they get paid is to close that gap. And so leading inside ambiguity is a fundamental trait that is required of leaders, not administrators, not managers, but it is absolutely 100% required of leaders.
Yes. We think that we're going to go from A to B, and life, professionally, personally, is never that straight, right? It's more of a spaghetti. And that is where the ambiguity comes in. In a professional setting, we try to clear up some of that ambiguity with processes, with tools, with technique. But even those don't get rid of all of the ambiguity. Playbooks, right? Those are things we refer to when a challenge or a problem comes up. We say, oh, yeah, we've dealt with this before. And we flip to the playbook and we say, this is how we do. This is how we deal with it. Ambiguity requires leaders and their teams to be adaptable, right? You have to adapt to the situation, what's being thrown at you, the constraints you have, the variables. All of those things play into you now having to be adaptable. And that's a skill. And so I work with a lot of organizations where we are teaching people how to be adaptable, adaptive skill set. And we're drawing a distinction between a technical and adaptive leader.
Mm-hmm.
Technical is those times when you can go right to the playbook. We've experienced this before. We have a process around this. Adaptability says we don't know. We're going to have to learn our way through this. The beauty is when you have a leader who understands that. It is difficult when you have a leader who is not adaptable and wants to go back to the playbook. And everybody around is saying, but we don't know what to do. And I said, just run this play. And then when it fails, they're wondering why it failed. It's because you ran an ambiguous play with a known process, and that's not going to work, right? And so that's what we're trying to teach is how do you recognize when you're dealing with ambiguity versus a known challenge or problem. Is once you can recognize that up front, then you're better equipped on the direction you take to say, okay, we're going to step back, we're going to learn, we're going to fail fast, we're going to do all of these things that the agile methodology teaches us to try to get through this thing that we don't know what this looks like. We know where we want to get to, but we don't know how we're going to get there. We're going to learn our way through versus if I can identify, oh, we've been here before, we know this, let's go to the playbook, then you're better equipped. And you don't, to our last episode, you don't burn people out trying to wonder why this process that you're trying to implement won't work.
So glad you used the words that you used, because there is a difference between ambiguity and messy.
Yes.
There's a difference between ambiguity and undisciplined.
Yes.
You talked about agile, and agile is wonderful where there's ambiguity. But in order to exercise agile appropriately, you need a high level of discipline.
Yes.
And so often I hear people talk about, oh, well, we don't have to do fill in the blank because we're agile. And I'm like, no, you may need to do it differently, but you most certainly need to do it.
Yes.
Because ambiguity is about the unknown.
Yes.
And there are unknowable unknowns, and there are knowable unknowns. And those are different. Very different. If you don't know something, is that because it is unknowable? Or is it, it's knowable, we just don't know it? Yeah. And how you handle those are different. If it's an unknowable unknown, you just gotta go.
You gotta experience it.
You just gotta experience it. You just need to figure it out and fail and struggle. And while there are lots of different approaches to help you work through that, it's an unknowable unknown. If it's a knowable unknown, that is where Agile can come in. Agile can help you drive that knowable unknown into the known. And it fundamentally boils down to running a series of experiments.
Yes.
And it really is that. It's at the core of it is a very structured way.
Yes, I was going to say that, structured.
A very disciplined way.
Yes.
A very process-oriented way to run experiments. Yes. That is where, from a leadership perspective, you've got to get comfortable. And one of the ways you can do that is think of it like a portfolio. This way of thinking about it I got from Steve Ambrose. Which was, because if I was struggling with, well, every experiment can fail. And if every experiment failed, is that good? That can't possibly be good. Yeah. And he said, well, you have to think of it like a portfolio. You're going to have some stocks that do well, some stocks that don't do well. You're going to have some stocks that are going to go through the roof. And you're going to have some that file for bankruptcy. And so as long as your portfolio on whole is climbing at the rate you need it to, you're good.
Yes.
And that metaphor really helped me to say, okay, as a leader, going through and dealing with ambiguity when it is ambiguous, not just because you don't want to do it, when it's truly ambiguous, you have either a knowable unknown or an unknowable unknown. If you look at your portfolio of experiments
That's good.
What is the ratio of your wins and your losses? And is it shaping out the way you need it to? Because that will help guide you in terms of driving your team in left or right.
Yes.
But you can't get caught up in any one loss. You have to be able to look at the entire portfolio as a portfolio to drive that forward. And again, when you are dealing with leading people, creating the environment where they feel safe failing, because you're looking at the portfolio, because you can have a conversation about the red, because you can have a conversation about the things that didn't work, and be just as calm and rational as you're having a conversation about the things that did.
Yes.
Will create the space for that to happen. Otherwise, you won't get the information you need, and you'll end up with, which can trigger poor management and poor administration.
Yes.
And so, which is why it's so important that you get the leadership part right.
Yeah, that's good. It takes me back to an earlier point of distinguishing between what I call technical and adaptive, and having that language in your environment. Because the discussion that you have as a leader and the environment that you create that allows your team to identify that with you is healthy, right? You want to create an environment where, as a leader, your team is telling you, this is a technical problem, we have a process, and here's the process we're going to follow. You all stack hands and you follow the process. Because then if you don't get to the goal you're looking for, you fall back on the process and what went wrong with that process. The process needs to be changed, not the people.
Yes.
Right? And so you look at the process as the failure as to why we didn't meet the goal. If you can identify correctly up front, you would love the environment to create the environment where you can have your team come to you and you engage in this conversation around it being ambiguous. And saying, this is an unknown for us. All of our technical processes that we use to attack challenges and problems, this won't work. They won't work. We will fail. Up front, we know this if we use what we commonly use. Now you can have a healthy conversation around, okay, how do we attack this? How do we go after this and learn and experiment in a structured way that we are still moving forward, that we are still getting small wins, right? Because Agile says you get wins along the way. You don't wait for one big win at the end. So now you get to have the conversations about how do we do that along the way? How do we learn along the way? And ambiguity becomes adaptive. Let me say it this way. Adaptive becomes technical after.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the ambiguity at some point is no longer ambiguous. Right? It then goes into your processes.
Yes.
It is now known. You have now learned. So when this comes up again, now you go and say, this is now technical. This is now something that's no longer something we don't know. There's very few unknowns that we can go to our processes and deal with. Let's say something that might be unpopular here. But when there's ambiguity and you are learning, leaders and teams have to be comfortable with loss. What I mean by that specifically is everybody on the team is not going to get what they want. When you're dealing with a technical problem and you know how you're going to attack this problem, then people already know what they're going to get, right? But when you're dealing with something unknown, you come to the table with the things that you want, but you have to be accepting that you may not get those because the learning will show you something different.
Yes.
But if you are standing 10 toes down on your position and your interest and saying, I have to have these things, even though I'm not sure because there's ambiguity here, how this is going to turn out, but you're still stuck on what you're going to get out of it, you're setting yourself and your team up for failure. Be open to, if I'm going to learn, I may learn something different, which means my position and interest might change in this, which means I might lose. But if the team wins, if we meet the ultimate goal, which is the win, then we're good. But if you're personally trying to get a position or interest resolved, be okay with losing an ambiguity?
Because the target is to resolve the ambiguity.
Yes.
The target is clarity.
Yes.
That is what you're going after. You're going after turning a set of unknowns into knowns.
Yes.
The unknown, once it's turned into a known, may not be what you thought it was.
Right.
But as long as you get the clarity,
Yes.
that's the win.
Yes.
When you're leading with ambiguity, you got to get the clarity.
Yes.
And in order to get that clarity, you truly need to create the environment where it can surface.
Yes.
And that is so hard. It's so hard. Because the person who may not get what they want is you.
Mm-hmm.
There have been times in my leadership where I lost sight of that. I lost sight of going after clarity because I thought I already knew the answer. And it caused me to not appreciate the clarity that was surfacing.
Yeah.
And what you don't understand, you don't appreciate.
Ooh, I like that. What you don't understand, you don't appreciate.
Yeah.
That's good.
To your point, it's so important. It's so important that you stay focused on the output is important when you're dealing with the known.
Yes.
Right? So if you're saying, we have a process for this, you can focus on the output.
Yes.
Right? If you're saying, oh, we have a playbook for this, you can focus on the output. If you don't, you have to focus on clarity.
Yes. Yes. 100%. That's great. What causes ambiguity? Other than the unknown, like you just don't know something, but I guess a better question was, give me a time when you were dealing with ambiguity as a leader and how you handled that.
The thing that pops quickly into my mind is when ambiguity is a collective thing, is my learning.
Okay.
Meaning, there are times when I have clarity, but we do not have clarity.
Yes.
And what matters is the we.
Yes.
You have to also be willing to let go of your clarity.
What you think is clear.
What you hold to be clear.
Yes. Yes.
You have to let it go.
Yes.
So that we can get clarity. I knew what the right answer was. Like in my bones, I knew the right answer was to go to the cloud.
Yeah.
I knew. I'm like, this is the answer. We need to take this opportunity to make this investment and move to the cloud. No utility had done it before. We would have been the first utility to do it. Yeah. Backlash was forceful. I mean, it came back to, what part of no do you not understand? Literally. Those were the words that were said to me. Yeah. What part of no, we're not doing this, do you not understand? Yeah. What I realized is like, oh, I have clarity. We don't have. This is now ambiguous to me because there is a knowable unknown. There is something I don't know.
Yes.
Because all the data, all of it, points to we need to be moving this to the cloud. All of it. Like, and what the lack of clarity that we collectively didn't have was, one, they didn't have the information that I had, and I didn't have the information that they had.
Yes.
We were operating off of two different sets of information and got to what, from each person's perspective, a clear, logical conclusion.
Right.
And it took 18 months of working together, me listening and them listening, and us having an engaged dialogue to get the senior leadership team to say, okay, we can do this. Now, over the course of those 18 months, the investment that needed to go to the cloud didn't.
Yeah.
But the awesome part about it is that the future investments, post that, were able to move to the cloud. But had I not taken the moment to go, okay, this as a collective is ambiguous because there is clearly a lack of understanding on both sides.
Yes.
Because I could have gone in there going, yeah, I hear you. What part don't you understand?
Right.
Now, I'd have been significantly less effective at that.
Yes.
You have to let go of the certainty that you believe you have in order to let the collective certainty emerge. Now, the approach absolutely changed because what I heard was risk. What I heard was we'd be the first to do it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, first in the industry to do it. People have been doing this for over, 5 years now. But yes, we'd be the first to do this. It's like, well, what about? All of the what abouts.
Yes.
Which are valid and need to be surfaced. What I would say is, I took from that I wonder how many people on my team had those same whatabouts that the leadership had that didn't feel safe enough to say it.
Yes.
And so I go back and go, how do I make sure that I'm creating the environment where all of the whatabouts, the things that question the clarity and the certainty of a direction get surfaced sooner. When you're dealing with technologists, that's a tricky proposition. Or engineers too, because they're a special breed. But it's still an important endeavor.
Yeah, that's good. I love that example. I'm glad you shared that. And the truth of the matter is, as leaders, we are always dealing with ambiguity. Right? I love the fact that you point out that it's clarity that you're really trying to seek for yourself and everybody, and to get on the same page is the true clarity.
Yes.
Right? And that's what you're driving for, and how you get there through conversations, through sharing your position, your interests, what you believe to be clear and the direction to go, and creating an environment where others can share that so that you could hear both sides. That's how you get clarity, so that you can move forward. And through that clarity, that ambiguity could turn into a technical process.
Yes, which it did.
Right? It could turn into, and when I say technical, I don't mean technology. I mean technical as in, like we mentioned, you've got something already documented that will help you resolve that issue that you go to as your playbook. That level of clarity could say, oh, well, actually, this is known. There are more knowns now.
Yes.
And we can run this play this way, but you need that level of communication. And as a leader, you've got to create the environment that allows people to feel comfortable.
Yes.
And saying, there are some unknowns. I have a position on this, but I don't know it all. And that's scary. As a person on the team, as a team member, that can be scary, because if you're in an environment where saying you don't know is not a good thing, that can be scary. And as a leader, going to your leadership or even to your team and saying, I don't know, if you don't create that environment, it feels like it could take a lot of courage when it really shouldn't.
Yes.
You really should have the environment where people feel comfortable enough to say, I don't know.
Yes.
So that you can seek that clarity.
The other little tidbit of advice that I would offer, if once the clarity surfaces, it ends up being the same clarity that you had before, don't say I told you so.
Right.
Don't just try. You can say it to yourself. You can say it to your partner.
No. Yeah.
But really, really try hard not to say I told you so.
You know you want to.
Yes. As someone who has done that, it does not go over well. Does not. It does not go over well.
Yeah. But often our challenges and problems don't get resolved in a straight line.
No.
You don't go from A to B thinking I got all the steps in place. Even if it's a technical known process that you're going to run, you're going to go to the playbook. Those aren't always straight lines either.
At some point in time, we'll do my 10 rules of leadership. But the two that resonate with this one is, you can be efficient with things, but you have to be effective with people. Yes. And if you want to be effective with people, you have to let go of being right.
Yes.
The first one I got from Lynn Ellen, former CIO of DT Energy, who said that to me and it really resonated. That next one I got from my husband, who was really caring in his way of letting me know that being right isn't everything.
Yes. Yes.
Even though at the time that's not what I wanted to hear. But he very carefully educated me that being right isn't everything.
Yes.
You know, because you can win the battle and lose the war.
That's the truth.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, so that leads me to thinking. So all our conversation so far has been around ambiguity in the workplace.
Yeah.
How does ambiguity show up in your personal space?
It is all over my personal space. And the thing, I think it was you who gave me this, which is those relationships are different. Oh my goodness, how long ago did you give me that? Those relationships are different because there's no rules.
Yeah.
Like when you're in the workplace, there is a decorum, there's a set of rules, there's a set of
It's a
structure that you fall into in a workplace. In your personal life, there's no rules about how you interact. The impact of ambiguity is harder to work through because you don't necessarily have the technical, you don't necessarily have those processes that you can lean on because
you're dealing with people who emotions and experiences and backgrounds.
Yes. And a level of intimacy.
Yes.
That provides them access.
Yes.
That most people in the workplace do not have.
Yes.
And so it gets trickier dealing with ambiguity in those cases. And I was having this conversation with my husband a couple of weeks ago because we were remarking how we've never yelled at each other. We like that. I knew that was not something I wanted in a relationship, and I think he the same way. It's like we have never gotten to the point where we're like screaming. I'm like I could not even imagine.
Right.
Like over 30 years, that's not something we've ever done or will probably ever do. But the way, I'm not saying we have always been the best communicators, but that's not a way of communicating that ever worked.
Yeah.
We were reflecting on how that has changed over the course of 30 years of how we've learned how to communicate because we are so different. Like you could not find more different in our communication styles and our likes and dislikes. And so figuring out, one, identifying that we are coming from a place where there's a lack of clarity is a whole thing in and of itself.
Yeah. Because
you have your position, they have their position, and you do not see it as ambiguous, and they don't see it as ambiguous. You can just see each other as wrong.
Yes.
And so getting to a place where you can then identify, we aren't coming at this from the same perspective. We can't come at it from the same perspective. How do we have the conversation where we get to that shared understanding? And then how do you have that conversation? For us, it's a series of conversations. We haven't gotten to the place where we are practiced enough to do that in one go.
Yes. Yes.
But we do know how to pause.
That's healthy.
To say, okay, this is as far as we're going to get at this moment.
Yes.
And we have made it okay to do that. To say, we don't have to resolve this right now. Now, not to be sexist, and this may come off as sexist, and if it does, I genuinely apologize. But I think two men, again, having a disagreement, it has been my experience, is different than a man and a woman having a disagreement. And definitely different than two women having a disagreement, has been my experience, my observation. They are just structurally different.
Yes.
And not better or worse. I'm not saying one is better than the other.
Yes.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
Yes.
I'm just saying they are different.
Yes.
And different is good. Arby's commercial. And so I think in terms of how we operate, structural differences in terms of how you navigate pauses and the structural differences in how you can come back to a conversation has worked for us.
Yes.
So I would, in our personal lives, it's trickier because there are really no rules.
Yeah. I know we are at time, so I want to say this and leave it. No further conversation needed at this moment, but ambiguity in my personal life is with children. You try to run a process or run the playbook that you think is going to work on your children, their whole life is nothing but ambiguity. So I'll stop there. I know we're at time.
Well, again, thank you for joining us for this great topic about leading with ambiguity. Again, a great shout out to Blue Vix Gaming for the topic. If you have a topic that you would like for us to cover, please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment. We do read each and every one of them. And with that, we'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Leadership Unfiltered. We hope you have found value in our conversation and are ready to take action in your leadership journey. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, share, and leave us a review. And don't forget to connect with us on social media for more leadership insights and resources. Until next time, keep leading with purpose.